Hello, and welcome to the Publishing Twins podcast. I'm Tasha.
Hi, and I'm Sophie. And today we're talking about how not to lose the plot. And by plot, we're talking about both the plot of the stories and your own sanity when doing it.
The first thing we have to confess, when it comes to writing, am a pantser, which means I just go with the flow and I'm mostly chaos embodied.
And I'm a plotter, which means I do the opposite. I spend hours writing down notes about what I want to happen in each scene and working out how that all fits together before I actually start writing the scenes. And Tash has had the comment that some of my notes are longer than some of her scenes.
Oh, most definitely. So what we agree on about this whole thing is by the time you get to the end of the novel, the details should not just be in the novel.
But of course, what we differ on is when to write that down. I write it at the beginning, well, some of it at the beginning, a lot of it at the beginning.
Whereas I don't write anything at the beginning. I just go for it. Usually.
That can be fun in short stories, but if I'm writing anything of any length, I have to have a plan.
I think the difference between a pantser and a plotter is for a plotter, not having at least a significant amount of it written down causes stress, and for a pantser, having to write all that down at the beginning is what causes the stress.
Absolutely, and that's where we're twins, but we have a different approach to life, clearly. So, if we are actually writing this stuff down, it doesn't matter when, it goes in what we call the Bible. The Bible is, I suppose we define it as, you write everything into it that is useful if you need to pass the information on to somebody else, or even yourself.
Yeah, for when you're writing that sequel and you haven't read your own novel all the way through, the Bible is so useful for all those little nitty-bitty pieces of information. I think it comes from TV, where they have a writer's room, and so it's what they share between all the writers and things. I think that's where the term comes from.
So whether it's you writing a sequel or whether it's another writer that's picking up a series, and so you have Bibles in things like Doctor Who and Highlander, and all those series tend to have Bibles.
This is very useful when you come to the sequel, because there's probably going to be a gap between you when you write the first novel and if you're writing the second novel. And it's so you don't make mistakes, because it's very easy to forget the finer details. Or you can sometimes forget you've even decided on the finer details. You don't realize you've already written this down somewhere. So if you write it down...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's just making notes about the important things for you. So when you're doing it personally, yes, if you're doing it professionally, for a writer in a team, there will be probably rules for what goes in the Bible and how they go in and things like that. When you're writing it yourself, the structure is very much up to you.
Oh, yes, definitely.
The good rule of thumb is there's a few things that you want to put into your Bible, and a lot of good writing apps like Scrivener or YWriter, not sponsored or affiliated, there are, as the BBC would say, other writing apps available, but if you've got a writing app, you'll have a lot of this structure in there. That will have options for this. Some of them much more fleshed out than others. Some of them, they'll just have sections where you're expected to put this information in. But others will have a guide as to suggestions about what should go in. Remember, everything is a suggestion. It's very much up to you about what goes in your Bible, what things you don't remember, what things you need to look at and go back to.
and what things you're going to need in the future, basically. So you've got things like
Yeah.
character sheets, and locations, objects, because sometimes objects are very important. I mean, have you got an enchanted sword or something? That's an object you should write down, because especially if you've given it a name.
The other thing is systems, isn't it?
Oh yeah, all sorts of systems.
Yeah, systems. So if you've got a magical system, how the magic works, political system too, if that's very important to your story. I've also, in one of my stories, my sci-fi romantasy I'm writing at the moment, I have military information because I worked out the different ranks, because I took a combination of Navy and Army ranks. So some people go when they hit that. I took a mixture of things because I know that, and I also listen to Star Trek as well. So and all sorts of those different ones. And I looked at all the different things, and I put together the ranks I wanted that I thought would be useful for me in that story. And so I just have them, so I know what order they come in, because if you don't decide that, you need to who's reporting to who.
Yeah.
who ranks who.
And also, having a list like that is very useful when you're creating a new character, because you need to know where they go in the hierarchy. So it's the same thing with political systems and everything like that. I mean, it's like character sheets. You have things like a full name of a character. When you start off, you might not know what the full name of the character is. You might only have their first name. And so you might not, but then at some point in the story, you may go, oh, hang on, yeah, I want them to be related to so-and-so, or I want them to have this surname. And you write it down, and then you may completely forget you've done it. And I promise you, there is a reason for me telling you this. Yes, I have had a character with 2 different surnames, and I had to go and edit the whole thing. And also known as, because you can have different nicknames for a character as well. And you can have lots of different nicknames. I mean, one set of people over here could know them as one thing, and one set of people over here could know them as an entirely different thing. And like their age. And also, if you've got a different, if you're not in a normal human world, also make sure that if the age has a significance, have that in there as well. Because if you've got different races, or like if you've got aliens, or you've got fantasy creatures, age might be significant. They might be like hundreds of years old and actually still be like a teenager. Gender. If gender is important to the character, get that in there. If they don't have a gender, get that in there. Hair color, eye color, height, ethnicity, all of that stuff. If you think that you might not remember it, eye color. Oh heavens, write the eye color down. Definitely write the eye color down. And the hair color. I have one character. Yeah, I keep forgetting their hair color. Never get it right. Have to go, oh no, they're a brunette, not a blonde, or a blonde and not a brunette. Write these things down.
And as we say, that's kind of note form. These are quick references that you can just go and check. Now, did I give them an eye colour? I can't remember. I need to go check. Was it green or was it blue? Normally, it's funny. If I give someone brown eyes, I remember it. If I give them blue eyes or green eyes, I can't remember which one I've given them. It depends if it's significant, the character.
If you're a plotter, you may write this at the beginning. You may not. But as soon as you decide it, write it down. Write it down.
Yeah, it's like I don't decide on eye colour and hair colour necessarily at the beginning.
No.
Unless it's important to the plot. Sometimes it's important to the plot. Other times it's not. It's like in my vampire stories, Tom's eye colour is important. And I forgot what colour it was.
That's always the way, isn't it? It's important, but I can't remember why it's important. Which bit was important?
I did actually have to go back and look that one up, because I thought, I haven't written it down. Why haven't I written it down? So note to self, saves a lot of time having to flip through your pages going, where did I put it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Because I know I put it somewhere. But so, as soon as you decide on something that's significant, write it down. Even if you don't think it's significant. I mean, because I'm a plotter, I do like to write a lot of notes, but I do restrain myself when it comes to the notes I'm making, because if you make too many notes, they're going to be as useless as having to, well, they're not useless, but you'd have to have as much effort to go back through them to find out what's going on. It's the pertinent things, the things that you're going to need to use again, that you want to write down.
Yeah. I mean, it's like locations. If you have significant locations in your story, write them down. And also make sure that you note down the reason that the location is significant. I mean, you're more likely to remember that bit. The significance is actually more easy to remember, but jot it down anyway.
What it looks like, because you can feel what it looks like, but actually, if there's something important about it, like it's got gargoyles on the outside or something, or the door's a particular colour or made of a particular substance, those things are going to be important.
Or you want to have that moment like when Aragorn goes through those doors and pushes the double doors open. You've got to remember that you've got double doors. Because it's kind of important. Yeah. So that's the type of thing you want to remember. The bits that have made an impact and you've described.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for describing them.
It's like if you've got special objects, we mentioned the sword and things like that, but it could be anything. It could be, especially if you've got magical systems and things. For example, I mean, in one of ours, we've got a scrying mirror, and that was a very important object. So we've got notes about that object. It was called Spiegel, and we gave it a name. But you want to record a description of the object. Again, significance. What do you do with it? Why is it important to the story? Because that's going to come back.
Yeah, if you've got a romance and he's proposing and he produces a ring and you describe the ring because it's a beautiful ring, or you describe the ring because it's a weird looking ring because it was his grandmother's or something, write that down because that's clearly important to the plot. So it sometimes it's the little things. And sometimes it's the big things, like what does that castle look like over there? Is it a stone castle? Has it got wooden bits? Yeah. Has it got towers? Just remember, it's like if you've got a castle, remember how many towers it has if you've told everybody. Because otherwise you might end up giving it another one at some point, and then you have to explain why it's suddenly got another one. Oh, nobody could see it until this point. Honestly. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
Yeah. So you don't have to describe too much.
I think that's the trick when you're writing anyway, isn't it? It's what have you described, what haven't you? Because sometimes you make the briefest of mentions of things, but sometimes it's really important, and readers are going to notice if you get things wrong, because they pick things up they hang on to things that they think are significant to them. And so if you get anything wrong, they will point it out to you.
Because readers are not always going to read what you have in the way you expect them to read it. So the details they absorb might not be the details you absorbed when you wrote it. So if you have little details, write them down. But you don't have to have everything. Just things that are you're probably going to be significant.
The important thing is to, when you're writing the little things down, keep it structured.
Oh, heavens, yes. Yes. Whichever tools you're using, make sure that there is a structure so that you can go and look up your characters. You can go and look up your locations. You can go and look up your... Whether you have an Excel spreadsheet. I use Excel spreadsheets because I try to use other writing software, and the one thing I can't live without is Word. And mostly they have their own editors. So I use Excel to do my planning bits. So I have spreadsheets that have characters in them, and I have spreadsheets that have locations in them. Whereas Soph is very organized.
I use YWriter. So that's a free piece of software, it's out there if anyone wants it. We'll link it in the description if anyone's interested. I have used Scrivener as well, just to make it clear. I have used both. I like both aspects of both. They're both a bit limited on certain aspects, but I'm using YWriter at the moment. So let's be fair, I'm using YWriter at the moment, and that has an area for locations, an area for objects, an area for characters as well. Although the character sheets are nowhere near as detailed as they are in Scrivener. Scrivener has a character sheet, but I just like using those because that structure gives me a place to put things straight away. Now, Tash, being the chaos agent that she is, probably just likes to have her own particular spreadsheets or tabs in a spreadsheet. Whereas I suppose, but in the end, Tash, you've rewritten your own piece of writing software. So because it literally is just a place to store everything.
I mean, in the writing software, there are timelines and stuff, so you can put scenes in and have timelines. Yeah,
Yes.
I wrote my own bits in Excel, so I could do that. But
well,
that was
I was still learning how to use the one in YWriter. Once I worked out all the different bits that you can do, because it does have a very good, you can put scenes in order and stuff. It has some limitations, but but everything will have. You just have to get used to using the ones you've got.
Whichever one you choose to go with, you just go with it. So those are the tools we use for these things. And if you're enjoying our content, please like and subscribe. But the reason we use these tools is both of us suffer from a mild form of aphantasia, which basically means is we don't see the detailed pictures in our head of our characters. Mm-hmm. So if I have my character doing something, I kind of see them doing it, but it's more like if I had. It's not a stick figure, it's definitely a real person in my head, but I don't see any of the details of the character. So I don't see what their intense stare actually looks like. I can have an idea of what an intense stare would look like, but I don't actually see it in there. So I can't remember what their eye colour is. I'm remembering their eye colour because I've written it before. Not because I'm seeing it in my head. I know there are eyes there, but I couldn't tell you what colour they are. And I don't see the details of what they're wearing. It's like sometimes if something is significant to the plot, I have to remember to describe it to people because I'm feeling it. I'm not seeing it.
I agree. Yeah. It's about feeling, isn't it? It's about it's like locations. I like to make notes about what locations look like as well because I kind of know what it looks like. It's in my head. I know where I am when I'm thinking about it, and I know it's old, or I know it's outside, or I know it's a new building. I know all of these things. If, for example, the library at the Templeman Library at the University of Kent was the inspiration for the library I use in one of my ghost stories. But I feel it. I don't actually see. I know it's got 3 or 4 stories. I couldn't tell you how many stories actually, exactly how many.
No.
But I know it's a modern building. I know it's red brick, and I know how it feels. I don't know exactly how it looks.
I have to admit, I use that library as well. I use that. You know my my vampire story where they're searching for all the relics.
Yes.
Yes, Blood Sacrifice, the Avebury Legacy. Yes, I used that library in there as well. Because it's a library we knew, but I don't remember exactly. I just remember that it had the stairs that went down, and I never went down those stairs, but I knew it had stairs on either side that went down.
Big modern place.
Yeah.
And I mean, but the details inside are completely different by the time we write the detail. But it's the inspiration from the building, and that's, I think, how we write, isn't it, Tash? I think when we describe things, and you're right about having to remember to write the descriptions so other people can see them in their heads, because I do know other people see things much more clearly.
Like my husband sees things incredibly clearly when he can he can design something in his head and see everything really clear. I have to put that on paper if I was doing that. I don't see all the details, whereas he sees everything very clearly like that. But he will remember some things, and then it's like he can't remember. He'll forget all sorts of other things. So it swings and roundabouts, really. But
we all have our strengths and weaknesses, don't we?
yeah.
But it's funny. That's one thing. That's one thing as twins. We have the same problem. I don't think we really discussed it as young people, did we? But because I think as we talk to each other, we know what we're talking about. Well, it took us a while to realise that actually we don't see the details in our heads. It's not there. I know the feeling. I know where it came from, and I know what I recognize it again.
Yeah.
But actually describing something, I'd be a useless witness, an eyewitness, hopeless.
Because if you ask me, it's like, for example, take somebody like Tom Hiddleston. If I see Tom Hiddleston in my head, I know it's Tom Hiddleston. But if you ask me what his eyes looked like in detail, or what his nose looked like in detail, I couldn't tell you. He's a guy with brown hair and he's quite good looking. I mean, and sort of if he lets his hair grow, he looks like a golden retriever. But the artists who can draw things from memory, it's amazing to me.
Yeah,
because
absolutely incredible.
And also anybody who could do a photo fit, I've no idea how they could do that. Because it just
no. When I watch TV shows and when they're talking about and sit back and think about what you can see, close your eyes and think about nothing. I think they were blonde, maybe.
Well, what's stranger about that is I can actors who are always in prosthetics, I can see them through the prosthetic by their eyes. But if you ask me to describe what I'm seeing and why I can recognize them, no.
Yeah.
I just know that I can see somebody's eyes through the prosthetics and know it's the same person. There's just...
Yep.
Yeah, so the recognition system's working back there, but the visualization system isn't working overly well.
It's funny, we can't translate it into words, which is kind of a bit limiting for a writer.
Yeah. Because I remember reading a fantasy series when I was a teenager. I can't remember which one it is now. And I remember them just, part of the magic system was they had to visualize everything perfectly in their head before they could make it happen. And I was like, how do you do that? I literally could not get my head around this magical system because I can't do that. So it just didn't make any sense to me. My brain was going, wow, that's a good magical system. How do you get people to do that? And then it finally occurred to me sort of later in life that actually some people can do that.
Yeah, because that is one of those things, isn't it? That, I mean, some people can do it really easily. They can just literally picture, say, an apple and think about it in detail and probably turn it around in their head and things like that. I can't do that. I know it's an apple.
I know.
It's over there somewhere, but what exactly it looks like, unless it's really important to what I'm writing. And then I have to sit and think about, okay, so when I am describing something, because I don't see it in detail in my head, I just know it's there. If it's an important item, I will, once I've written a description, because I do write descriptions in my prose, and I'll just go with it. But once I've finished that section, that scene, I will then go and make notes about that item. What's the important points of that item? What I'm using it for? What it looks like? What it's made from? All those kind of little bits. I'll put that in my Bible, in my notes for that particular book, so I can go back.
I mean, it's like It's like if you were George Lucas writing what color everybody's lightsaber was. If the color of the lightsabers have significance, you write it down, because you need to know that so and so has that lightsaber and so has that lightsaber. Because if you get that wrong, your fans are gonna notice. It's just what's gonna happen.
Oh, to have fans that are that interested, that would be lovely.
Oh yes, a fandom would be lovely, wouldn't it? That's what every writer sort of strives for. People who care enough to criticize it when you've got it wrong. Yeah.
So, moving on then, shall we move on? I think we need. Well, the reason we write the Bible, though, is to actually help us with our own world building. So, items, locations, people, magical systems, any other type of system that's useful for what we're writing, that's what goes in the Bible that helps us with the world building. But I think there's a challenge when it comes to world building, especially if you're into things like Dungeons and Dragons and things where there's a lot of detail associated with a lot of things. You have to make sure that you have a difference between world building and info dumping, because this is where the show don't tell comes in. So you can happily show as much of a magical system as is needed for the plot, but only enough. And you don't want to wander off into explaining to your readers how all this works if it's not needed.
Yes, that's where your Bible comes in. You put everything you've thought of into the Bible so that you know all of the stuff you based on what you're showing your reader. Yes. So what's important is you take all of the stuff that that you need for your world building and put it in your Bible, but you don't necessarily put that all in the novel. If it's important, so you know how everything works, and you may need it in the future, or even if you just want to know how you did it, it goes in the Bible. If it's required for the plot or the characters, it goes in the book. And you don't want to have pages and pages and pages and pages where you are just telling people exactly what you're doing for the sake of doing it. So you don't need to have huge expositions about this magic comes from over here and over there and they're doing this, blah blah blah, unless of course it's important for the plot. So if you're actually like if you're in a school, a magical school, you might have all of this because you might be teaching people this. Or if you have you've got a wizard teaching his apprentice, or you've got a political system where somebody is explaining to somebody else why their plan isn't going to work, or what nuances they need in their plan to make sure that they can, come in and destroy whatever they're trying to destroy. Because info dumping can be a problem, because writers want to share everything, and sometimes we don't need to.
That's also, I think, what editors are good for as well. They'll go, you don't need that bit. That's irrelevant. Is it relevant? Again, everything, is it relevant to the plot?
Yes.
Is it moving the plot forward? Not do you want someone to know this just because you think it's an excellent idea you've had? Is it useful to the plot? And it might come in useful 3 books down the line.
Because there's a difference between telling everybody everything and telling them what they're going to find interesting and what is because the problem is, if you put too much in, sometimes it stalls the plot. It's like if you've got a fight scene and you've got somebody using martial arts or magic or anything like that, if you describe everything in minute detail and explain why they're doing it, the fight scene is going to drag on way too long. There might be the odd bit where you go, and they were doing this because of this, or and they executed that beautifully, or something like that. and that's required because you're giving them a mental image of what's happening. But if you're going and they were using so and so's technique because it was beautifully, it was the most beautiful one they could pick, or blah blah, yeah, a lot of that's not required.
Yeah, I think there's an interesting one there. If anyone's seen the Sherlock Holmes movie with the Guy Ritchie did, directed, there's a whole section in that where Holmes goes through what he's going to do in a fight and why, literally piece by piece. And it's a really interesting section. I think it's beautifully shot. It's really well done. But by the time you get to what he's actually doing, you're not interested in what he's doing, because he's already told it to you and thought it through in detail. I mean, I think that's the point of the piece. It's a really quick. It's just to get you into Holmes's head. That's the point of what they're doing, and it's interesting to do it once, but they don't do it again because there's no need to. You don't want that. Would be flogging a dead horse, as they say. If you try to do it again, once was enough in that story to see how Holmes thinks and how he's doing making the calculations. Things that are probably, they come out in a novel because that's the format that he's doing it in, but it wouldn't have worked in the movie. So you get a lot more of that, I think, Holmes's thought processes and things, I think, in Conan Doyle's writing. But that was I thought that was a nice little window.
It's like I'm listening to the audiobooks of the Dune series at the moment, and I think the first book does it really well. You get the introspection, and you get people's motivations and stuff, and it describes political systems and everything. And I think it does it. It's got a really good balance, keeps you interested. Whereas the second book, Dune Messiah, I think is a terrible book because it has far too much introspection, in my humble opinion. It makes the characters feel whiny, and I just want them to shut up and stop. And I got to the end of the book by pure willpower, because I said I was going to finally, because I've never actually got to the end of it. And I'm on Children of Dune, and Children of Dune's got the balance back. The balance is right again. You've got the introspection, you've got the reasoning, and it's got it right.
And I think another good example of that's used really well is the "but why" doctor in Doctor Who, when you have an assistant going, "But why is this happening, Doctor?" Because you're on an alien planet or in a strange situation. There's a doctor is an alien. He's doing stuff and you've got to tell the reader. Sorry, the reader. You've got to tell the watcher what's going on and why. And so the companion going, "But why is this happening, Doctor?" The doctor then can then do a little bit of an info dump. Hopefully not a very long one, but there's usually some technical terms and things like that going on to explain the plot. Because it's also a kids show. Should be a kids show, so it's meant to be explaining those things to the younger viewers watching as well. It's very well done. If you look, especially some of the more modern, some of the new Who stuff, especially with David Tennant, they did that quite well. They did the "but why" doctor stuff. It can get a little bit grating in some of the older Who stuff. I mean, old Who is my favourite, but you have to accept the limitations of the medium.
Yeah, and they did have a bit of a misogyny problem as well going on sometimes because of the timing. So the girls were always, "I'm confused, please explain everything to me." But yeah, well, except for
Nyssa.
Yeah, Nyssa got to explain
Nyssa
things.
and Romana. Nyssa and Romana were the two brilliant female.
Elizabeth Sladen.
Sarah Jane.
Thank you. Sarah Jane. That's the one I was. Sarah Jane never took any crap from anybody either, and went off and
No,
found
she
her own
didn't, no.
answers. So she was awesome.
No, I think Romana and she was the intellectual equal of the Doctor, and so
but she still didn't know what was going on half the time.
Because the writers only had one companion to ask questions.
Writing it all down for yourself is a very good way of not info dumping, basically. Yes.
Yeah, info dump for yourself, but not for the reader.
Yes.
And there will be bits that you think are brilliantly put into your novel, and you've written it fantastically. You think it needs to be there, and your editor's going to go, "Nah, cut that out. It's not. This is no point. It doesn't help. Yeah. Get rid of it."
Yeah.
Listen to your editor.
Listen to your editor, but don't ever throw it away. Put it somewhere else, because you might need that later. You never know when you're going to need that. But yeah. So basically, that's about make yourself a Bible when you're writing your novel. Because you never know when you're going to come back and need it.
Absolutely. So I hope what we've told you today has been useful. This is what we find useful about when we're writing. I mean, yeah, we're a bit older than you probably, and it's not all in our heads, but we've come to the point where, we write everything down now, because then we can just come back to it quickly. It's there, it's a reference. So we write our own reference books. Also, I mean, if you end up with a fandom like J.K. Rowling has, it's all there in front of you.
Yeah, you can just translate it straight into another book. There you go. Another few $100,000 or whatever in the bank account. Yeah.
If you enjoyed what we've told you, again, like and subscribe. We're a new channel. We hope that what we're talking about publishing, you're finding interesting, and let us know. Leave a comment, a like. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, tell us what you'd like us to talk about. Because we'd always like some sort of some ideas for future topics.
Well, thanks everybody. I think that's it for today. And have a good one. And see you again next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.